Hi everyone, welcome back to Dark Feminine Consciousness. I am Tifara, and today we're going to talk about how to connect with your ancestors. And this video has been requested for a while now, but because I lost someone recently, it really got me thinking about ancestors and connecting with ancestors. So I recently lost a friend, high school friend. We were very good friends, best friends in high school. We spent a lot of time together. I spent a lot of weekends, sometimes weeks, at her house actually. So I grew very close to her, and she became like a sister to me. And her family, her mother and father, became like parents to me, and her siblings became my siblings. So the loss really took a hit on me. Even though we had moved on to different paths, I still loved her as if she was my sister. We never really got to connect and talk about what happened in our friendship. And so I feel like I've been having to grieve in my own way and also get the closure that I need, because we don't often, I mentioned this in a video before, talk about the PTSD that we get from broken friendships and how it affects us, and the healing that we need to move on after those relationships have broken off. So because she's no longer here, I had to do that on my own. A friend of mine few months ago actually requested that I do a video talking about how I connect with my ancestors, how I honor my ancestors. It's not as difficult as people might think. For me, my ancestors are always with me. Those who I know and I never met in this lifetime, the ones before, their blood is in me. And so my presence here is their presence here. There's always that connection. Of course, the connection to me is deeper when you actually connected with them within your lifetime. So for me, my ancestors aren't just my family though. It's not just my close relatives. My ancestors are the people who I connected with in this lifetime. So once we had a connection, I had a love for you, you had a love for me, and we shared very intimately. When you pass, you are my ancestor. They're always a part of my memory. I can't forget them. It is impossible for me to forget them. Take for instance my friend Ajua that passed. I can't forget her. She's always a part of me. I know her. I know how she talk. I know how she reason. I know how she would respond to some things. I know her, and I will never stop knowing her. And so she will never stop being a part of my life. The connection with her cannot be severed. We are always infinitely connected. She's not here physically, she's still with me spiritually. I feel her, I sense her, I hear her. If I want to talk to her, I just talk to her. She's never gone to me. Once we made that connection, it is impossible for them to cease to exist to me. They always exist. And so connections with them is easy. I just talk. Ajua wagwan. Ajua, say this happened today. The conversation, it seems like it is with self, and like I'm answering myself, but I'm answering myself as her, as how I know she would respond to me, because me know her. I know what Ajua would say. I know how she would respond. I know how she would feel. I know how she would laugh. I know how she would be she angry. I know how she be she disappointed. I know her expressions when she's sad. I know all of those things. And so it comes to life through my memory. And they can come through synchronicities. You get a phone call from a person that you was asking about. You see some numbers that connect to the person's birthday. That's how I honor them. I honor her by communicating with her, and I speak her name. But there's the African way of honoring ancestors. You pour libations, you bring food, you bring things that they like, you know, especially if you have an offering. If you into any kind of African spirituality, you'd know about having an altar. Even in other cultures, people honor their ancestors in every other culture, actually, except black culture. People honor their ancestors. The Japanese do it, the Indians do it, the Chinese do it. We're the only ones who don't actively honor our ancestors. And that's because we are removed from our African spirituality. So when you connect back to that, you must connect to ancestors, and you must learn how to connect to ancestors. But we do a little bit of it anyway, unknowingly. I talk about this all the time, the African retention that is here in Jamaica, because there are so many things that we do that is African that we don't realize is African. And one thing is that we always pour alcohol for our, you know, people who pass on. Things that we do at funerals, you know, like the 9 nights and so on. Some of those rituals are very, very African, very spiritual rituals that we take part in when someone passes. And so yes, you can have an altar and you put things on the altar for your ancestors to honor them, or, you know, to communicate with them, or to get messages from them. But like I always say, with everything that is spiritual, and similar to what the Christians say and what my father would say, like my father would say, salvation is an individual thing. I say spirituality is an individual thing. And so your experience spiritually is yours. And what you do is how you want to do it, how your spirit feels, what your spirit guides you to, because there is your higher self, you know, your higher spirit that speaks to you and leads you. So you should know what feels very comfortable to you, what feels natural to you. I know my way and how I feel comfortable doing it. I know there are specific ways set out by different groups or organizations or whatever, but as usual, I am Tafara and I do things how I want to do them. And some things are very spiritual and sacred to me too, so I don't share everything that I do. And that is a part of protecting myself and my spirit, protecting my power as well. I have a friend who were childhood friends, and she died when we were like teenagers. And I speak her name often too. I have a friend who he introduced me to my ex. I call his name often as well. My great-grandmother, I never met her. She's my mother's grandmother. Does that make her my great-grandmother? Maybe great-great-grandmother, but this is her bangle. And there were 2 of them. I had one before and I lost it. My grandmother had both of them. I lost the first one. I went to the beach and I lost it. I was so heartbroken when I lost it. But my mother told me that my grandmother had the other one. So I was like, okay, I'm going to the house, and I searched for it and I found it. So I have it, and I always have this with me, and I don't ever take it off, you know. I guard it with my life. There are other things from people who pass on. I hold on to them. I keep them and I preserve them. And so that way, they're always with me. Like my great-great-grandmother is always with me through this piece. You know, her energy is in it. To me, when I look at it, I think about her and what it looked like on her hand when she had it. Like, there are some very small things like that I use to honor them. And yes, when I'm doing altar work, I will bring things of ancestors, things for ancestors that I know they liked or they would have wanted. So I do some of that as well. Very simple, basic communication with ancestors is just to talk to them. And just talk to them and speak their names, especially when you know them. You're not listening for no direct answer. You're expecting to hear somebody say, "Hi." As I said, you knowing them being a part of you, you knowing how they are, you know how they talk, so you know how they would answer you, you know exactly what they would say. I didn't really have any special direction for this video because honestly, there is no one way to connect with your ancestors, and as I said, it is really going to be your way, and you have to figure out your way and what you are comfortable with. You don't want to do anything that feels forced, you know, it don't feel authentic. I'm always about that. If it don't feel authentic, don't do it. So that's it on how to connect with your ancestors. I hope that is helpful. Please let me know in the comment section if you have any other questions regarding that. So don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, share, you know, all of that help out with the algorithm. All right guys, so take care. Later.